There is finally some news to talk about regarding the Bengals' biggest need on their roster right now, but in this video, I'll explain why we need to see some more news coming down the pike if the Bengals want to go into the NFL draft in a comfortable spot. Hi again, Bengals fans. John Sheeran of A to Z Sports Cincinnati here, and now that the whole celebration for Jamar Chase and T. Higgins signing their contracts is over and done with, we can go back to reality right now. And at the moment, reality is a pretty stark question for the Bengals. Who in the world is going to play guard for them? Now, we do have some news on this front for the first time in what seems like forever. We have Lucas Patrick coming in town for a visit today. He most recently played for the New Orleans Saints. He's played for the Chicago Bears, the Green Bay Packers. He actually played for Green Bay when Jerry Montgomery was the defensive line coach, so there's some familiarity there. And on the other side of the state, you have the Cleveland Browns signing Tevin Jenkins, who was linked to the Bengals pretty much all last week. He took a visit with the Seattle Seahawks. The Bengals never brought him in for a visit, and when Seattle let him leave, it was presumed that he probably didn't pass his physical or didn't look particularly great. So there's finally some movement on the guard market, but I'm here to tell you right now that if the Bengals only go out and sign Lucas Patrick, that's not enough entering the NFL draft. Now, don't get me wrong, Lucas Patrick does have a place within any offensive line room in the NFL as a versatile backup. He's played all three interior offensive line spots. And as a matter of fact, he started more recently at left guard and center compared to right guard, which he hasn't really started there since 2020. But that's where the Bengals need a starter right now, ever since they let go of Alex Kappa, who like a day later signed with the Las Vegas Raiders. And for these last 2 weeks, I keep hearkening back to that move because it was very uncharacteristic for the Bengals to let go of a starter, even if we all knew that that starter was going to be released and then replaced. But in the past, we've seen guys like Bobby Hart, Drake Kirkpatrick, Andy Dalton even was an example, Geno Atkins, guys that were either starters on the team or like franchise cornerstones on the team that the team wouldn't actually get rid of until his replacement signed on the dotted line. And with Alex Kappa, even if we all knew that he wasn't going to be on this team, especially with the money that he was about to make, it seemed like the Bengals were going to at least hold on to him until they found a replacement for him, because if they didn't, that is a huge glaring hole to leave open leading up to the NFL draft. And once again, Lucas Patrick is not enough to fill it right now. And ultimately, I don't think it's going to be Lucas Patrick who gets penciled in to start at right guard. He's never been a full-time starter in his NFL career. He's never commanded a contract more than just a couple $1 million per year. I think the Bengals' offer for him will be relative backup money similar to what Cody Ford is making. So maybe you could see a situation where Lucas Patrick is now competing with Cody Ford for the starting left guard job. I think there's also implications with Cordell Volson here, because Volson is scheduled to make $3.5 million this year, and if he doesn't win a starting job, that's a pretty expensive backup to have on your roster, where if you can sign Lucas Patrick to maybe $1 million or $1.5 million less than that, that makes a lot more sense. Plus, Patrick has experience, again, playing all three interior offensive line spots. But that still leaves you with a big question as to who's going to start at right guard, because again, you can't just go into the draft with that spot wide open. The Bengals have not really left themselves with a lot of quality options here, but thankfully for them, there are still some guys that they should go out and get. Brandon Scherff is the obvious one, right? We all know who he is. Yes, he's a little bit older at 33 years old, but he hasn't missed a game in the last 3 years. He's so stout in pass protection. I also do think there's a connection here between him and Scott Peters, because Peters was a consultant for Bill Callahan when he was the offensive line coach for Washington from 2015 to 2019, which was the first 5 years of Scherff's career. And if it's not him, Will Hernandez is still out there, a very quality starting right guard who's coming off of a torn ACL, and somehow, some way, Dalton Reisner continues to not get signed in the month of March, which I really have no answer for. So there is still somehow a way to salvage this, but if they don't, and it's just Lucas Patrick or someone equivalent to him, then we're going to be spending the next month talking pretty much exclusively about guards in the NFL draft.